A very good morning, Team Zimbabwe, and welcome to Africa and Beyond Television Network. And today's headline is that Job Sikhala faces arrest after humiliating President Mnangagwa and his government at the Geneva Human Rights Summit. So this is what is happening in their cause for the arrest of Job Sikhala. We have seen several people calling for the arrest of Honorable Job Sikhala. Remember that he spent over a year in prison while he's on remand. And when he was released, he went out of Zimbabwe to seek medical treatment and is not yet back. While it is there, he delivered a very powerful speech at the Human Rights Summit. And this has caused a lot of problems and a lot of troubles within ZANU-PF cycles. Let us hear what Job Sikhala said, which is warranting him an arrest.
Thank you very much for this brief time that have been given for me to speak out about the experience that I've gone through in Zimbabwe. I am Job Sikhala, the surviving political prisoner from Zimbabwe. I'm a prominent lawyer and an opposition member of parliament before my incarceration on the 14th of June 2022. In my more than 3 decades of political career, I've been arrested 68 times. Normally, they would release me on bail. But on June 14, 2022, I was arrested for representing Mo Blessing Ali, a single mother and a political opposition leader who was brutally murdered. They cut her body into 3 pieces and dumped it into a deep well. By the time we finally found her, she was in a decomposed state. And for taking on a feminist legal case, I endured 595 days of pre-trial incarceration at the notorious Group Maximum Security Prison. It was the only way Zimbabwe's corrupt regime could manipulate the 2023 elections and stop me from participating in them. Inside prison, they denied me food and visits from relatives, colleagues, and friends. When I got sick, they chained me to a hospital bed despite being on a sleeping dose. The regime piled cases against me during the period of my incarceration. And I faced 5 trials and they convicted me on 2 of them. One conviction procured out of the law that does not even exist. Bail rulings pronounced me guilty before the trial even started. Innocent until proven guilty does not apply to anyone who dares to stand up to Mnangagwa's corrupt regime. In July 2023, the regime passed the Patriotic Act, a new repressive legislation targeting free speech and free association. Under that law, I am deemed to be committing a crime just by talking to you today. It's no wonder millions of Zimbabweans have fled persecution abroad. They desperately want to come home to live in a free and democratic society. And that is precisely why I am here today. As the chairman of the National Democratic Working Group, I represent a broad coalition of Zimbabwean opposition political parties, activists, labor unions, students, professionals, and civic society organizations. Together, we are paving the way for a free and democratic Zimbabwe. I hope the world will support us. May the Almighty God bless all of you. Thank you.
So this is what Honorable Job Sikhala said when he visited the Geneva Human Rights Summit. And this is actually warranting him an arrest in the nation called Zimbabwe. So Snowball Tongagara, ZANU-PF Murakashi, well-known connected to ZANU-PF Murakashi, has actually confirmed to this effect that the Patriotic Act must be put into place, into effect, to make sure that they deal with people like Job Sikhala. He says there have been concerted efforts by usual regime change agents to mislead the public that Sikhala has been invited to speak on human rights at the UN. Yet it is common cause that the Geneva Human Rights and Democracy Summit is nothing but coalition of civil activists. This is the first thing he had to say. But we need to continue to actually take a look onto what he had to say further, because he said a lot of things regarding Honorable Job Sikhala's situation, and this is what to actually write here, and says people of Zimbabwe are now not happy with their government for being too soft on our nation's detractors. If Job Sikhala was USA citizen, he would have been charged for violating the Lockdown Act. When will the Patriotic Act, Criminal Act, going to be used? This is a very important issue right here. It seems as if it's a question, but these people are actually advocating for the arrest of Job Sikhala. This is a direct way of advocating. And remember, on Snowball, Nick Mangwana also weighed in and commented on the developments about Honorable Job Sikhala. He didn't let this issue just go like that. He also responded to this, and he then said, asishuwa munhu kuenda all the way to Geneva kunoreva nhema ingamodya zvemarema. Just tell them their preferred narrative and they loosen their purse strings. This is what Nick Mangwana said, and he is the government spokesperson. Panonzi Zimbabwe yataura paya murume yeye ndiye ananga achitaura, and as the chief spokesperson of Zimbabwe, he is actually saying this, and an opposition activist is crying foul after being incarcerated wrongly for over a year. Agree or disagree with Job Sikhala, personally, I am against the issue of arresting others, because Mangwana ndiwo nosungwa, Mangwana ndiwo chagara mujeri kwenguva yakareba kudaro, simply for standing your ground and simply for criticizing the government and telling the government to do better. You'll be arrested, you'll be charged, you'll live in prison like you live there forever. Then let us take a look on Jamwanda or Donzamsoro and see if he responded to this one. So I'm just picking very influential people, and I've just shown you Snowball Chongogara, one of the most recognized Murakashi, and also we've talked about Nick Mangwana. So let us take a look on Judge Charamba and see if he has responded. The problem with Judge Charamba is that he posts a lot of things. So sometimes you find it difficult but let us try to find a post from Soro. Right here, I cannot find it. I cannot find a post from Donzam Soro about this whole issue. But, you know, this is concerning Team Zimbabwe because where we are going as a nation, there is trouble always everywhere. There is problem everywhere. And people like Job Sikhala, they are being threatened for simply speaking out. He stood his ground and had to address this issue, but is being victimized for that. The major question is, why are you victimizing Job Sikhala for pretending with the truth or for telling the truth? You don't need to agree with him for you to actually understand what he went through. This is Christine Charumbira, another recognized Murakashi, asking, how can Job Sikhala be an invitation to speak at the so-called Human Rights Summit? It's laughable, comrades. Sikhala is a convict who was found guilty of inciting public violence in Yatsimi. He also organized buses violent CC supporters who unleashed. So this is what Christy is saying. They are forgetting that vanhu vakadzorera after vanhu veZANU-PF varivo vatanga kuvakanganisa. And it's a crime in Zimbabwe to fight for your life. It's now a crime. Job Sikhala is being pinned on this issue. We spoke about this issue from day one. Personally, I never believed Job Sikhala committed a crime, and I'm still convinced that he didn't commit that crime. Our differences, yes, we might have political differences, and after he left prison, what he actually did or said. He failed to acknowledge those who fought for him, but he was wrongly incarcerated. He was wrongly accused. Grace Banda, thank you very much for joining us live here. And I would want to thank everybody who is live with us right now. So it's said, Team Zimbabwe, that Sikhala is facing possible arrest again, simply for actually telling the world that his rights were violated. So if your rights are violated, you cannot go to speak. Remember, the Patriotic Act, it doesn't include the, speaking at the arms of United Nations, because Zimbabwe itself is part of United Nations and is a signatory to United Nations, and also is a signatory to the observance of human rights, which means Job Sikhala is entitled to speak at that summit. And he was not talking to any nation, he was speaking at a summit which deals with the issues of human rights, which is a United Nations body. And Job Sikhala did not commit a further crime right here. This is my own understanding. But in Zimbabwe, you can be charged for anything. This is Matigari saying Job Sikhala is in Geneva at the invitation of the Western NGOs. He's not there talking about the genocide in Palestine. So they want you to go and talk about what is happening in Palestine, but they don't want you to speak about what is happening in Zimbabwe. In Zimbabwe right now, the people are suffering. People were tortured during the elections in 2023. People were chased from their homes in 2023. They don't want to speak about all those issues. Job Sikhala spent over a year in prison without bail, on remand, and they don't want to talk about all those issues. The major question is why? They had to destroy the source of livelihood of Job Sikhala. He was a successful lawyer, and they had to destroy everything. His career was destroyed. His clients were put on the disadvantage simply because of some people who believe that they're untouchables. Yes, I know that for sure. At a certain point in time, we are powerless and there is nothing we can do. But time will come when the power of the people shall be exercised in Zimbabwe. I believe that a time shall come when the people of Zimbabwe will have to exercise their power. Unity, thank you very much for coming. Job Sikhala must not return to Zimbabwe. Ngagare outside Zimbabwe, and President Chamisa is in Zimbabwe at State House. Okay, as well, Job Sikhala did very good, especially when he's outside Zimbabwe. Yes, I think it's good for him. He took the stage to actually speak against what is happening in the nation of Zimbabwe, and I applaud Job Sikhala for doing that. So this is the story, Team Zimbabwe. Job Sikhala is facing arrest for actually exposing the regime during the Geneva United Nations Human Rights Summit. The major question is can somebody be arrested for telling the truth? I do not know. It's a crime to lie in Zimbabwe, although there is no law. So if Job Sikhala lies that he was not victimized, is he not going to be arrested as well? So Team Zimbabwe, I love you all. Thank you very much for the support, and thank you very much for the contributions right here. Keep on sharing, keep on liking, keep on commenting, and also we will be live giving you updates, different updates here on Africa and beyond. And you have to be here, patient with us as we continue to dig deeper what is happening in the nation of Zimbabwe. My name is